this week on the Anime Alchemist podcast?
Honestly, in terms of like world building, obviously like One Piece obviously would be up there in terms of like the world is, but also just like originality, right? I really like the way that Oda pushes the creativity, which is going to be wild when my TikTok followers see this because of the way I'm always.
We're gonna clip that.
And I'm sorry if I'm gonna offend anyone right now. Something like Demon Slayer. Like Demon Slayer is cool, but like I'm not really learning anything from Demon Slayer. You know what I mean? Like,
you know, man, I think you were meant to be on this podcast.
Yeah,
I don't think One Piece is gonna end, right? Kubo, like Oda said that, right? That said that One Piece is in its final arc. I don't believe that because like they're not gonna let you end their like their most profitable property. Like
that's not. I'm starting to believe it after some recent chapters, man. There's been some crazy shit that like.
Welcome back to the Anime Alchemist podcast. My name is Emery.
My name's Gary.
My name's Martine.
Today we are honored to have a special guest. You guys might know him as ND.Mangaka. Find him on TikTok, Instagram. You guys can also check out his manga. It's Rune
Symbol.
Rune Symbol. Thank you. I fucking knew. I should have guessed myself.
So check it out. You can check out his manga on Rune Symbol.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, everybody give it up for ND.Mangaka.
Yeah, welcome, man. How you doing?
Hey, thank you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on, man. I originally I didn't even know you had your own manga. I just genuinely I saw your content on TikTok and I was like, this is a funny dude, and I like this content. It's some shit I can get behind, and I don't find that a lot on TikTok anymore.
Nice.
Props to you.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask though, what's your manga called?
Rune Symbol.
Rune Symbol.
Rune Symbol. That's sick.
That's cool.
I like that physical copy out and everything.
Okay.
I love that.
So it's a whole app?
No, actually, I know you can read it on Crunchyroll, right?
You can read it on Manga Plus creator,
Nice.
and then
Hey, that's
and
dope.
then Global Comic as well.
Cool. So do you want to like tell us a little bit about yourself and about Rune Symbol? Kind of like give us a synopsis of it for those who don't know, for the audience.
Yeah. So I'm ND. I mean, I consider myself just kind of like a artist in training, I guess, and a writer. I kind of just got into like TikTok content creation to promote the manga, and then I just started making regular TikTok content. Like, I just say like I don't have any like particular style. I just say whatever comes to mind and whatever's gonna get views. To be honest,
I feel that.
People mainly know me for trolling One Piece fans, but like I do like.
Oh boy.
Perfect crossover.
And then I do like just like talk about mainly Naruto, Bleach type stuff. That's like I really like Kubo's art, and I also like know the most about Bleach. So I'm like, okay, I'll just talk about what I know about doing that. Like, you know, whatever else is trending, and then I'll try to like bring in the manga here and there to try to get like more people to read it.
Mm-hmm.
But like I don't really consider myself a content creator because like I mainly made the account to promote the manga anyway. So like that's just kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, but I would still consider you content creator, just like not social media content creator necessarily. You know, like content can be anything, and making a manga is definitely good content in my opinion.
yeah.
So kudos to you, my man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
No, and I respect the game, man. Like in today's age, like you have to use social media, TikTok, to promote anything that you're doing.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Right.
like the only reason this podcast has a TikTok is to promote the podcast.
Yeah, no, we didn't want to do traditional marketing or anything like that. We're like, well, let's just make an account and post clips on it, and that's how you get your face out there, you know, because not everybody's going to immediately click on an hour-long video, especially if you're, you know, you don't know them.
Mm-hmm.
But at least this gives people an idea of like what the content is. So I think it's a good way to do it for your manga as well too, if you're, you know, showing like little bits of it and talking about it, pique people's interest.
And I mean, that's how it worked for me. I liked your content and segued into me like wanting to check out your manga afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And then, funny enough, I don't know if you know about this, but 2 weeks ago we had the Buff Anime Nerd on, and funny enough, he recommended your manga too.
Mm-hmm.
Did he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I actually inspired the Buff Anime Nerd to start making manga.
Nice.
Yeah, I started because like I'm not one of those people who's naturally like an amazing artist. So like I'm like in the learning process, you know. And then like, you know, he's always been into like had like story ideas, and like a lot of other people too. Like a lot of my mutuals, and just like seeing me just like go from like, you know, having no idea what I'm doing to just trying to like learning each step along the way. I feel like I've kind of helped motivate a lot of people who are like, yeah, who like were kind of scared to get into it. Like, you know, my art sucks, you know, I'm not that good of a storyteller. But I'm always like who's just like, well, everybody's gonna suck at something that they're just starting out at. So like, you may as well for a couple months, a couple years, and then get good at it, right?
Absolutely.
Or just never do it, right? So
yeah, no, definitely. And I like that way of thinking also, because like, again, it's like you said, everyone's gonna suck if you've never done it before, but you're always going to suck if you never start.
This podcast used to suck.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of lost episodes that will never see the light of day.
We'll reference them, but we'll never show them.
It's just like that saying: the master has failed 1,000 times more than the student has tried.
Yeah.
that's
Damn. Now, okay, so since we know like you inspired different people to do it, like what I guess inspired you to actually want to take that first step and like put out your own manga?
I think for me, it's always like my like, I guess like I say like anime in general. Like I feel like Dragon Ball, and I'd say my biggest inspirations would be like Dragon Ball, Yu-Gi-Oh for sure.
Mhm.
That's got me into drawing. Like my first like experience in just like drawing shit for fun was like drawing Yu-Gi-Oh OCs and fake Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Yeah.
Right. And then just like the more like I just got into manga, like I was just like, you know, like why not do it? You know, I like storytelling, I like writing, and I like a lot of my family is like a science and writing family. So my brother and sister are really into like writing. My brother does like poetry and like writing, and my sister does like also does writing and poetry. But I like art, and I also like writing. So, you know what? I'm gonna just go ahead and like start. Yeah, like of course, like I'm not gonna be good at it, but like you know, over time, I'm gonna learn. And just like you know, seeing my like inspirations, just like do it, and I'm just like, okay, well, like they started somewhere, I'm gonna start somewhere, right? And it's like learning curve, right? Like I've like redone Rune Symbol so many times. Like I did it like originally like when I was like a kid, like on like computer paper with like a Sharpie, and then did it again when I was in high school, which is like only like maybe like 5 or 6 people have this version, which is like the oldest version of it.
Oh, that's sick.
I really like the way
So do
that
I.
looks.
Yeah, no, that's badass.
Cool.
And then I finished this, and I was like, I could do a better job, and I did it again, and then that's
Yo,
Okay,
that's
that's-
badass.
I
I
love-
love that.
I love to see the evolution of that. That's
Yeah.
fucking sick.
Oh, that's
Thank-
super cool.
We're gonna have to get some.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I'm not personally familiar with the story of Rune Symbol. Do you mind giving me kind of like a little like plot synopsis, or like tell me what it's about?
okay. Yeah, I'll try because I'm not really good at like talking off. That's why.
Oh, you're
I
good.
made-
The best way you can, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I can like give you like a general like idea, but it's gonna be like a little bit all over the place.
No worries, no
Go for
worries.
it.
Even like in my like lives, I made like the pinned video on my page explaining the story. So every time somebody comes to my live and it says, "What's the story about?" I'm like, "Hey, check."
Check out this live.
Gotcha.
Well, yeah, for sure.
So I'm gonna try to like say it off top. So generally, like the general premise of the story, like without like rambling, is that there like originally there was a world where humans and angels lived together, and angels had a vast amount of spiritual energy. In my series, it's called Rua, and that's basically what allows you to use like magic and things like that. But humans had a lot of intellect. But of course, as you know, like differences between people lead to like conflict. So eventually, like these differences between these two species led to conflict, and that threatened to like erase both races. Because angels in my series, they're not like biblical angels; they're just like different type of humans, if that makes sense. Yeah. So the God of the universe decides to like split reality in half between the humans and the angels to like stop this like perpetual war. But the drawback to that, because in my series every spell has an equivalent drawback, even including the god. So the drawback to that was that his body was like ripped apart into 7 pieces for 100 years, which is called the Rune Symbols. So now the job of the angels was to guard and protect the Rune Symbols until the time had passed for the god to be reborn. But one of the angels, for reasons yet to be explained, realized the power that these Rune Symbols had, and realized that if he could get all of these Rune Symbols and put it inside of himself, he will become God, and then he can like create the reality that he wants. But after being discovered by the angels, he had no choice but to run away. So he ran away into the human world, right? And now his goal, but the angels, after like realizing that this angel, because this is like an archangel, he's a very powerful angel, realized that he could come back at any time and like come back stronger and actually succeed in his plan. So now what they decided to do was, because humans don't have a lot of Rua like the angels do, if they hide the rune symbols inside the souls of humans, it would be impossible to detect, because it wouldn't be radiating that immense amount of magical energy.
Right.
So by doing that, now it gives them time to try to track down the angel, the fallen angel, and like basically bring him to justice, kill him, whatever, before he can find the rune symbols. So now it's a matter of like, are the angels going to find the fallen angel on time? Is the fallen angel going to be able to get an army of humans and train them in magic and help them rebel against the angels? And then what about the humans who have the rune symbols in their soul? When they find out the power that they have, what are they going to do with it? So it's kind of like a multi-layered story.
Oh, that is sick. I
That's
like that.
really unique, actually. I like that a lot.
Oh,
Thank you.
wow.
You said you wouldn't do a good job of it, bro. That was
a
great, man.
solid
That's
pitch.
fantastic. Yeah. No, I like it because it almost feels like a race against time type thing too, and it adds a little bit of urgency to the story too, and that keeps me reading and watching stories too. Like, I like that element. Yeah, it keeps you anticipating.
That, and there's a creation story. I'm sorry, I love series, especially fantasy series. That like they give you the creation story, even if it's like dripped into it.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good shit, man. I really like that. That's cool.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, even that pitch, like there was some solid world building for it too. I'm like, fuck, okay, we're gonna have to pick this up.
For sure.
Oh man. Okay, well, we're definitely I'm gonna have to find some artwork of it and like actually check out the artwork, but we'll put some artwork.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we'll make sure to include it because
Show it off.
I love the cover, and like your art style is really nice. Like I do see some like kind of what's the word resemblance to like Bleach, or inspiration more so to Bleach, but like I always lean towards that art style. It's very it's cool and I like it.
No, definitely. Kubo is one of my biggest inspirations when it comes to art. Like, I love him and like Mashima, the guy who does Fairy Tail. Like, both of their art styles, just like I don't know, something about it. I just really love it. I don't know if it's like their composition skills. I don't know if it's the way they do the line art, the way they draw the characters. Something about it is captivating to me, and I just really try to like take as much as I can and just learn as much as I can from them.
Right. Yeah. No, and like I think it makes sense to have like your authors that you get inspired from, because depending on the art style, it can really elevate your story at the same time too. And I see examples of that with like, you know, comparing, for example, One Piece and Bleach. They have extremely different art styles, but they also have very different stories they're wanting to tell. I think if you were to switch the art styles for both, the stories would not work in the slightest, you know?
I completely agree.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so building off of like, I mean, how much you seem to take in from like from Bleach and Fairy Tail. My question, and we ask this a lot just because we've realized a lot of people sometimes struggle with it, like we personally do, but do you have like a top 5, I wouldn't want to say animes, but let's say top 5 like
Anime
series?
or manga, maybe? Like
Yeah.
Both?
Okay, so yeah, this is kind of for me, it's kind of a weird question, because I have like a top 5 that I like the most, and then top 5 in which, like, if I'm like judging like, you know, story, writing, characters and everything, then like a separate top 5. So it's like, you know, like,
So like
based off what
an
I-
objective and a subjective top 5, basically.
right. Like, for example, like Yu-Gi-Oh is in my top 5 anime that I like, but I wouldn't say it's top 5 anime in terms of like, you know, complex characters and things like that.
Okay,
fair,
that's fair.
I think you're the first person to kind of like separate the two, and that's actually kind of refreshing, because I find myself kind of saying the same thing. Like with Bleach and Naruto, for example, I'm aware that I think like Naruto is a better written story, but I still like Bleach more, you know?
Okay.
Right.
So, all right, let me hear it. I'm
Let's
curious.
can we get both of these actually? Because I'm very interested now.
Yeah.
In no particular order, right? I'm just gonna like go off top, like in no particular, in terms of like writing, art, character, whatever. I would say in no particular order. I would say Vinland Saga, definitely.
Oh god, yeah.
Right? Yeah, definitely. Berserk, obviously, that's an obvious one. Death Note, for sure, for me. I think like the way that the plot is so like multi-layered, then also seeing like the slow like downfall of Light, and then also like the way that his character goes from like sort of like a naive, like idealistic character to like slowly becoming more and more evil, and watching his plan slowly fall apart. I think that that's like expertly written. I really like that one. I would definitely put, honestly, in terms of like world building, obviously like One Piece obviously would be up there in terms of like, you know, the world is, but also just like originality, right? I really like the way that Oda pushes the creativity, which is going to be wild when my TikTok followers see it because of the way I'm always.
We're gonna clip that.
Oh yeah.
The One Piece is definitely up there. That like really helps me like stretch my imagination and just like really like go for like things that aren't like very unconventional and just try to do it my own way. So I really like that. And then something else that I would put. What else would I put in that? Oh, Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, always.
Yes.
Yes.
I was
Full
gonna
Metal
say it. I was gonna say,
I was
are you
like-
good? Tell me you're gonna throw that in there because it's beautiful.
So far, I think like almost every guest we've had has had Full Metal Alchemist somewhere in their
Somewhere
top
in their
5.
list. Yeah.
It's just hard not to. It's so good.
It's
It's just one of those like perfectly written
Thank you.
stories in the sense like
thank you. It's
you're not gonna flaw like, in the story, right? Like whether or not you like it or it's your preference is completely different.
Yeah.
The writing and the characters, there are no flaws.
No, yeah, it's essentially it covers everything. I've always kind of said it has great action, great world building, great characters, story building, or story complexities, everything. Character arcs.
there's slight romance in there.
There's even a slight romance in there.
A couple of them.
Yeah.
Think about it, you got Mustang and
Not Riza. They're
Hawkeye.
yeah,
kind of.
kind of.
He kind of, he kind of has the hots for Olivier though.
Yeah,
Like,
and like I wouldn't say
Wouldn't.
like they got like the chemistry, but they got the alchemy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was so.
they're the
corny.
power couple. But
Yeah, but then like
yeah, Riza makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then you have Edward and
Winry.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I agree. That's a solid list. Yeah, and I can see how you definitely prioritize, I think, well-written stories, like complexity and just, I guess, deeper thoughts, and like not surface level, action or flashy fights or anything like that. Like there's reasoning behind it. Like Berserk, obviously, it's an incredibly complex and very well-written story. Same with Vinland Saga, and like it shows that you also care a lot about character growth and like their character arcs, how they change over time too.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely about like when I'm like characterizing like my like top 5 in terms of like writing. For me, it's mainly like what can I learn from this? You know what I mean? Like something like, and I'm sorry if I'm gonna offend anyone right now. Something like Demon Slayer. Like Demon Slayer is cool, but like I'm not really learning anything from Demon Slayer. You know what I mean? Like,
Man, I think you were meant to be on this podcast.
Yeah, I could not agree
all
more.
Agree with you 100%.
Hey, nobody getting offended over here. Preach, man, preach.
Yeah, and that's not to say we don't like it. We like Demon Slayer a lot.
But it's not doing anything new or particularly different. It is just reusing things that have been done really well.
Oh yeah.
They just like if anything, it just they push the boundaries of animation
Yes, I will give it that credit.
and sound effects. They got some solid sound effects, man.
I appreciate good sound effects, man. Like it makes it different. That's one of my biggest complaints about like Toei animation is they reuse the same sound effects for all their shit.
Oh yeah.
It's always the same Super Saiyan sounds, like Kamehameha, beam struggle sounds. Like you hear it when you watch One Piece. You can't help but think of like Dragon Ball stuff.
That lightning sound is so iconic. Every time I hear it, I'm just like Super Saiyan 2.
Yeah, and that's why I
Well, that makes
appreciate.
sense.
Yeah, like the production value, I think I appreciate in a lot of other animes. Like Fire Force was one of those first ones that I was like, this sounds different, and it already sets itself apart from everything around it. Whether the story was super unique or not, that's up to you. But like the production value of it is gonna set it aside, and I think it enhances the story because of like the power systems, the fire abilities that they use, all that stuff. It meshes really well together, I think.
right, I agree.
What about your other top 5 that you have?
Yeah, your biased one. Let's hear this.
Bias one.
My other top 5, based off of what I like in no particular order, I would say Yu Yu Hakusho is definitely one that people don't talk about it enough.
Yes.
Like that's for me, amazing. Like yeah, they dropped the ball at the end, but we all know why. But like in terms of like, right? But in terms of like enjoyment, entertainment, and even like writing, because Yu Yu Hakusho inspired Bleach, and I love Bleach. So like, you know what I mean? So I really have to give Togashi his props there. I feel like not enough people celebrate Yu Yu Hakusho in the same way they celebrate like the big 3 or Dragon Ball or Fullmetal
Or
Alchemist. I feel like
Oh yeah.
Well, Hunter x Hunter for that sake.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, honestly. Like, we actually recently did a rewatch of Yu Yu Hakusho, and like it made me realize, like, damn, this is so much better than I thought it was as a kid. Because like as a kid, you don't really think about the story complexity. You just watch it for the flashiness of it.
We've also yet to remove the Yu Yu Hakusho manga since then.
Yes.
But it's like it's still well written in my opinion.
exactly, I agree. And I think with Yu Yu Hakusho, it's one of those series that I think that like if it got like a reanimation or like a reboot, it would like it would just take the anime community by storm, because it's like so many. I feel like what's holding it back is that it was like a 90s show. Like, you know, not many people care about it. You know, they don't want to go back and rewatch bad animation. So like, but I feel like if it got like a reboot like Hunter x Hunter did, it would be in most people's like top 10 easily.
Oh yeah.
Agreed, yeah. And I'm not a fan of that like stipulation that just because it's a 90s anime, it has bad animation. Like, no way. I still think Yu Yu Hakusho's animation holds up to this day. It's just an older art style, but that doesn't make it bad. I think it looks better than a lot of the CGI
I was gonna
crap
say
that comes out nowadays. I much prefer that old style. But maybe that's just me being old.
No, I definitely agree with you.
hand-drawn shit, man. Like we've always said, it's the love.
Yeah.
You know, you in those older, you know, 80s through 90s anime, you know, you can see the blood, sweat, and tear and love into it. You know, unfortunately, with the shit that comes out now, you put on that blood, sweat, and tear. Guess what? They'll rip it from you too early, anyways.
Yeah.
Damn.
A little bit.
Back in the day, though, like the way they did anime or like manga and stuff, the serialization was very episodic.
Yeah.
Right, and like that was golden for back in the day. That was perfect standards, right? It's like that's what we want. But in current day and age, it's saturated with that. So I just don't know if it started off the same way, you know, with like going through being the spirit detective and everything like that with those episodic portion. I don't know if it hold up as well. It's kind of like Bleach at the beginning of Bleach.
Yeah.
It's a little more episodic.
Yeah, that's true.
I think the thing is with this like episodic shows, I think the reason why they do it is because I feel like, and maybe this is just my own like headcanon, but I feel like a lot of like older animes, because the expectation was for it to be a longer running series, especially like the successful ones. Like nowadays we're seeing shorter like series, like 20 volumes, like things like that. But because they were expected, like if your series didn't get canceled, it was gonna go on like forever, right? So like a lot of these like the beginning portions of the series was meant to get us to really like love the character and be connected to the character. That way when we get to a part in the story where there's some serious stakes, like we really feel it, right? Which is why when people complain about the substitute Shinigami arc in Bleach, I'm like, well, the whole point of the arc is to get you to like Rukia so you care when she gets
Oh yeah, definitely. I fully agree with that. That's the whole reason we love the Soul Society arc.
right. No one's gonna care, right? So I don't know. That's maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's what I think.
No, bro, you definitely know what you're talking about. Trust me.
I just don't think people in the current day and age have the attention span for that.
That's also true.
Right? It's like Demon Slayer picked up with, here's this kid, his whole family is dead, his sister survived, kinda. Maybe he can save her. Do you want to watch the show?
Yep.
Right. Exactly.
I
Like,
really
straight
think
to the point.
like as simple as Demon Slayer is, I do feel like I have to give it its props, and it did kind of change the game for anime going forward. I feel like it's kind of one of those staple animes that really pushed more of that quick storytelling, and it kind of made it easier for anime to be streamed and binged because of like streaming platforms and everything. Since it wasn't so episodic, it was more just like, you know, boom boom boom, like things are happening really fast. I think that influenced a lot of other like more new gen anime to kind of follow the same scheme. Like JJK, for example, is also in that similar boat. It's not episodic in the slightest. It's very just like every episode something major kind of happens almost, or at least nowadays. It's just a different time, you know. It wouldn't have worked in the 90s because you had to wait that week. And you also see that with like the recaps too. Like we don't get really big episode recaps at the beginning of the episode anymore because 9 times out of 10 the people watching it are just binging episodes.
Do you think that's why Black Clover didn't get so much hype in the beginning?
Maybe.
Because it was slightly episodic in the beginning. Like you got him, he gets kind of a bullshit hack, goes and becomes a magic knight. Sure. Once it becomes a magic knight, it was literally like I would say like a good solid minute, like what's the quest of the week kind of thing.
That's a good point. I never thought about that actually.
Granted, like the quest took a while, but it was more like quest, and it's like, oh, these quests are starting to build up to something, and then it kind of snowballed.
Yeah,
Well, but you gotta think like that was the platform for the storytelling, right? It's like Ichigo became a Soul Reaper, and he's introduced to hollows and being a substitute Soul Reaper and what all that entails. And it's the same thing with us. He gets his anti-magic, becomes a magic knight. Here's the introduction, but then there's building stakes in the background.
Okay, yeah.
That's true.
Okay, yeah. Do you have the other 4 for that list? I realized we went on a Yu Yu Hakusho
Sorry.
tangent.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I think my next one would be Yu-Gi-Oh. Just for.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's really not there. Like, who doesn't love Yu-Gi-Oh? Who didn't collect Yu-Gi-Oh cards? It's like, you know what I mean?
We still do.
Right. I still have them, so like, I mean, I gotta put it in there.
It'll be worth a fortune someday.
Mm-hmm.
Then Bleach, of course, is gonna be up there for me as well. Like the art style, the show, everything about it. I love it. The lore, like the fact that like there's always more to like. I feel like the thing with Bleach is because like the show is so like there's so many like loose ends that there's always new stuff to explore. And people who don't really understand Bleach don't realize there's so many layers to the story, and there's so much more to explore that they just don't realize. And so many people are just seeing the surface level of Bleach, but they're not seeing like everything like underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like for me, as like somebody who read Bleach in high school, right? Like I'm still like learning new things about like about the story. So I think that's definitely something I really like about that.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely not surface level.
No.
I think a lot of people that initially hate on Bleach probably just see it as surface level. And granted, I think it does have a little bit of a pacing issue, but again, different time. I personally didn't mind it too much.
We're
If
One
not-
Piece fans.
We're
Bro.
one-
We can't say pacing issues.
Yeah, it'd be a little hypocritical of us to complain about
Come
pacing
on.
issues.
But to be fair, I read the Bleach manga up until 1,000-Year Blood War. I read the entire Bleach manga, and then I read it again, and then started watching 1,000-Year Blood War. So I have no idea how bad the pacing is, or for like the anime, because I didn't watch
Right
it.
now, for the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, it's been phenomenal, in my opinion. The 1,000-Year Blood War did a lot better pacing-wise, because I think they've realized how, like, we're in a different generation of anime fans, but, like, the old-school anime, like, especially the, the Wakamundo arc,
Mm-hmm.
and the one right before that,
The wrong car.
the Arrancar arc. I still really like those arcs, but there's a good chunk of the Wakamundo arc where I'm just like, wow, this is really dragging.
Mhm.
Like, I definitely was forcing myself to watch a few episodes because, like, I never thought that I would complain about this when I was watching it, but I think Bleach, at least that arc, had too much fighting to a certain point. I think that they could have either, like, sped up some of the fights or kind of just, like, I don't know, resolved them a little faster, because there was all this stuff going on in Wakamundo with Ichigo and Uryu and all of those. And then we come back to Earth, and then we get the captains, and they each had essentially 1 or 2 episodes to fight each individual hollow. And it kind of adds up after a while, and you're like, okay, it gets a little bit repetitive for me. And, like, you know, a slight criticism, but overall it wasn't too bad.
I mean, nothing's
Right.
perfect.
No,
Nothing's
yeah.
Perfect, but
I still like it a lot, though.
a hell of a good arc.
Hell of a good arc. Yeah.
Wild ride.
Yeah, and iconic as hell too.
We never met back up at that location though.
Watch one of them go and be like, I thought we were supposed to meet.
Oh my god.
It was probably Chad.
I feel like when it comes to fights, like something that I'm learning when it comes to like writing is that like the fights, it's not necessarily the fights that are like hype. It's more like the build up to the fight, right? So if it's just fight after fight after fight after fight after fight with no stakes, then no one cares, like, right?
Yes.
It's more of like, for example, like at the end of Naruto, like Madara versus Shinobi Alliance, the reason why it was so hype was because they've been building up Madara's hype for the entire series. That's why we care. But if it was just like one sentence about Madara, then he shows up, like, who cares? You know what I mean?
Exactly. You know nothing about this guy. Why is he a threat? But we've been hearing about Madara since like early Naruto when they were still kids, not even Shippuden, like all the way back then. He's had plenty of time to build up that presence.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense that you're a Hiro Mashima fan. Fairy Tail, because they know how to hype up the fight right before that fight hits. And if you're looking for that in a story, yeah, that's exactly what you want.
And then next, I'm gonna have to say Naruto, of course. I mean, we just brought it up, so I'm gonna have to put Naruto in there. Yeah, I mean, there's really not much to explain. I mean, I love Naruto. I grew up with Naruto. I love the character. I love Sasuke. A lot of people hate Sasuke. I love Sasuke.
We love Sasuke in this house. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we're a
We do.
Uchiha family.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
And I mean, the ending kind of dropped the ball a little bit, but like I feel like for the most part, it was a very enjoyable series
Oh yeah.
for me.
Well, it was never supposed to go that far, right? Like he was forced to go further than in the series, and he was expecting, right? And I feel like he did an amazing job for being essentially forced to, right? Because imagine you have an ending in mind for your story, right?
Right.
You reach the ending, and they're like, "No, do more."
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, then you have to pull something out of your ass.
Yeah, so I give him mad respect. He did a lot with what he had, and I mean, yeah, we had a lot of flashbacks in that war arc, but they were meaningful.
That was also more so an anime thing than a manga thing, wasn't it? The flashbacks.
I mean, yes,
Yeah.
but we still got a lot of like context with flashbacks.
In the manga, okay. Because I never
There
read
was
the
a whole
manga for that.
flashback arc in the manga.
Oh, okay, okay.
But that was when Kishimoto was helping Oda with Dressrosa.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
No, that was
Oh,
that was when they started the Infinite Tsukuyomi for Naruto. The Naruto
That.
Shippuden series. They started the Infinite Tsukuyomi filler. When that started, Dressrosa started, and Kishimoto was like helping with the production.
That's crazy.
mhm.
I didn't know that was going on at the same time.
And what's interesting is that now that you mentioned like Naruto being forced to continue, like this is a little bit tangential, but I feel like the way that these manga companies kind of like this, like the stories that are doing well, they're not going to let them end. Like we saw that with Naruto, we see that with Kubo's working on Thousand Year Blood War now, but he said that if Thousand Year Blood War does well, he's going to continue Bleach.
Mhm.
With the right, we see that with Dragon Ball Super. Like, I don't think One Piece is going to end, right? Kubo, Oda said that, right? That said that One Piece is in its final arc. I don't believe that because they're not going to let you end their most profitable property. Like
I
that's
don't
not
know.
just
I'm starting to believe it after some recent chapters, man. There's been some crazy shit that you expect to see towards the end, and we're starting to get now. You're like, oh, maybe he was a little serious about it. For me at least, the tone is a little different, but that's from a manga perspective.
I feel like it's going to be one of those things where they get to the end and then they're going to have to. I don't know. Maybe I hope not. Maybe they'll do like a Next Generation or something like that. I don't know. But
They have
I just
to go
feel
find the 2-piece.
I just feel like when a series is making that much money, they're not just going to let it go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
just give us a whole different kind of story and perspective in the same world. That's what we.
I would appreciate side stories or a complete spin-off. It doesn't
mean-
have to be the same story. There's a big enough world that you could focus on a different character.
Just give us Wano after Luffy's era. Just give us something like that, or give us Egghead.
Introduce a random character, put some stakes on them, and see them go out in the world, and then see the world that Luffy and the crew created with the new era.
Oh, so yeah, no, that's how you should do it.
Yeah.
You got your last one for us? I was gonna say.
Last one would be might have to put Hunter X because I feel like Hunter X Hunter. I really enjoyed that. I was gonna say Fairy Tail, but I feel like I would say Fairy Tail because I like the art style and I like Mashima. But in terms of enjoying the show, I enjoyed Hunter X Hunter more.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
I mean, it's significantly more complex, and you feel the stakes of all of those situations. Even just like Gon and Killua not being able to walk down a hallway
Yeah.
because of the bloodlust coming from another character. You know what I mean? Just them being able to put stakes on that. They're walking down a hallway and they're making it intense. Yeah, no, it's a hell of a series.
Mm-hmm.
God, I love this series.
I had a question for you. It's from I would love to hear the perspective from another mangaka. What do you think is one of the most difficult parts about being a mangaka? Is it writing the story? Is it kind of making your own pace? What would you think is the biggest challenge?
I think the biggest challenge, I would say it's making the story consistent. What do I mean by that? I mean you have an idea in mind, you have a bunch of characters, but writing each character's storyline, but not putting contradictory information, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. Saying I'll give you an example. Let's say I don't know, you say this character is one of the strongest characters. This character defeated this character, and this character lived during this era, and this character was friends with this character. But then the second character, you write a situation that happened before the first character was born. It's that doesn't make sense, right?
So continuity, essentially.
I would say that's pretty hard. Obviously, learning and improving as an artist, that's naturally that would be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the promotion, getting people to care about it, that's very hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know that even when it comes to writers nowadays, because I tap into the writing space because learning from writers, but a lot of them are saying that even nowadays the days of just writing a good story and sending it to a publisher, those don't exist anymore. Like, right, like most publishers won't even look at you unless you have some connection in the industry or you already have a fan base for your work. Right.
Oh, okay.
It's just significantly harder to just get the word out there, and just get people to like give it a chance, care about it, you know, things like that.
There's been like so much more mainstream and a lot more popularized that like it's easier, I guess, for a lot more people to have access to create their stories and to put them online. You know, like it's to a certain degree maybe oversaturated too. Yeah, that's interesting.
There's too many, like there's like so many works for them to like to filter through to know which one is like the good ones, right? It's kind of like music, right? Like a record label is not going to sign you unless you already have like hundreds of thousands of listeners on SoundCloud, right? Like they're not gonna, you can't just make a good song, send it to them and like, okay, you're signed. Like it doesn't work like that anymore.
Yeah, I know nowadays like the doors are open for anyone to kind of try it, so you have a lot more competition at the end of the day.
Right.
Gotcha. What would you say, like, what part do you enjoy the most of being a manga?
What part do I enjoy the most? I would say like definitely like, so when I make a story and I make a character, just like getting like random bits of inspiration that just make like a character who like maybe I didn't have that much planned for, just make them a little bit deeper and a little bit more complex. And then when you have, and just like, and having that fit perfectly into the story, right? So you have a character, you think of a really cool idea for the character, you put it in, you have another idea that connects this character to that character that fits perfectly into the storyline, you add that in and you just keep doing that over and over and over. Now all of a sudden, like a world that wasn't really that deep, all of a sudden has like 10 new layers and 10 new layers of complication that just make it even better, right? And I feel like a lot of writers, especially like, I know Oda, for example, says that, has mentioned something along the lines of that he's more of a discovery writer, right? That like he lets the characters sort of like narrate their own journey, make their own decisions, things like that. So I think that, like, you know, Oda does something similar to that, where like he gets these ideas, he like expands the world, makes characters more complex. An example of that would be like Kuma, for example. Like,
hold on.
The one second, because they're not manga people, so I don't know if you are. I want to make sure that there's no like manga spoilers.
Spoil, but I'll say like Kuma is more complex, but
Okay.
Sorry. That's super huge, and I don't know if we ever mentioned that they were anime only. I'm the only manga person here, and it's hard. Sorry.
Right. Yeah, so like something like that, right? But like originally, I'm sure he didn't have that planned out, but you know, he got that idea and figured out how he can like fit that into the story, and then he was like, okay, I just figured this extra layer of complication, right? I feel like when I have that for my characters, that's very rewarding part of writing.
Yeah, and I think that goes to show that like he's very in tune with his own story, because he obviously has like maybe points that he wants to get to in the story, but I think he fundamentally understands the characters that he's created in this world, that he kind of can put himself in their shoes and be like, well, I might want to do this. And he's even come out and said like, I don't know where Luffy's gonna want to go after this. Like he's kind of in charge of the story, and I think that's really cool because it makes it feel very authentic. You know, it doesn't feel like it was just a random thing that was shoehorned in by the creator. It was like, no, this is like the natural evolution of the plot based off of the characters and the decisions they would make in that situation.
Right. And I think that's like an incredibly important part of just being a writer, is understanding your characters and making them like understanding your characters to the extent that like the characters write their own story instead of you trying to like force a story that you want onto your characters. I guess it's weird to say that if you're not like, you know, like a writer, but like a writer would understand what I mean by that, right? Like there's a difference between me making my characters do things and my characters doing the things I want them to do.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's a really good distinction.
Okay.
Right.
Now I got a quick question, because like this is like, I guess it's not something you gotta ask somebody every day. Like as somebody who's put out their own manga, is there other manga out there you see coming out that you recommend?
Yeah, definitely. I think like I have a lot of like mutuals on TikTok particularly that have like a lot of good works. I think like right off the bat, something that comes to mind would be like Hustle by Ty Davis. Like his manga is really good. I actually have a copy right here. He has two actually already. He has this one and this one. Right.
Oh,
okay. Cool.
Yeah. And he's already
I like
worked.
the art style.
And these are pretty thick books. It's not like,
I was noticing that.
So
and you said his name was Kyle Davis?
Ty Davis, yeah, T.Y. Davis.
Ty Davis.
Yeah, and it's like basically about a kid who's like who lives in like, so it's based in America, kind of like how like Japanese stories based in Japan. It's based in America, right? It's based in Memphis, and it's basically about a kid who just gets like wrapped up in like the world of like narcotics and drug dealing, similar to like if you've seen the show Power. It's like somewhat similar to that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like about like a high school kid, about a high school kid named Tyson Jr. And basically he's just like a kid who's struggling to get scholarships and just dealing with high school like problems. But then he gets involved in like a conflict between two rival gangs, and that sort of like, and because he's seen the faces and like the identity of two of the characters, it's like Power mixed with My Hero Academia. They have magical powers, by the way.
Oh,
and then like
love it.
right. So then now he's kind of like forced to like get involved, but he's trying to also hide it from his friends and family, so they don't know that he's involved in this. But he's trying to like save his own skin from these like incredibly dangerous people. So it's like, it's a very complicated story, but it's super cool and super interesting, and it's just inspirational to see someone else also like writing and grinding on something that like on the same kind of thing that I'm doing.
Yeah, definitely. That's cool.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check them out.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm writing them down.
Okay. Any other ones?
Let's see. Any others? Well, I mean, there's a lot. Like there's like this other one I have. It's called Storybook. I haven't read it yet, but I read like the beginning part, and the general premise is about like it seems like a post-apocalyptic world
Already sold.
where like where where there's like this like villain called like One, and basically like there's like a like the last remaining members of humanity are sort of like hiding out in this like in like one small section of the world, and they were like this like task force is sent to like stop this like villain. But after realizing how strong he was, like they basically recalled the task force, but because some of the friends of the people on the task force are in danger, they like refuse to come back. And now it's just kind of like a thing where it's just like, you know, them kind of like venturing out into like this like super dangerous world with like this like super powerful villain on the loose, and like the stakes regarding that. There's this other one called Satsume Story by Comics Endeavor. Yeah, it's basically about a guy who is like it's like a kind of like a medieval type of story, like a guy who is in like a he's like a commoner, so he lives in like a village, but then he gets an opportunity where he can like sneak into like a ball for nobles, and he poses as like a noble. But then when he gets there, shit goes hits the fan. This like one like a rebel just kind of like shows up and starts like messing shit up, and then he like dies, but like right before he dies, he has like an opportunity, kind of like solo leveling, to like kind of like revive with like special. Okay. So it's like kind of like an issue with him trying to like basically figure out what caused him to get these abilities, figure out who like this rebel is, and just kind of like navigating that world. There are so many like different stories, and so many people who are writing and creating. Like I wish I could like off top come up with like a bunch more. Like there are Biome, there's one called Golden Mist. There's so many good ones. And it's just, for me, like I really just like the fact that there are other people who are also in this like field, who are also like grinding, and just seeing other people like succeed motivates me to work even harder.
Yeah, it's nice to see that y'all have a very strong knit community and that y'all support each other's projects too. I think that's one of my favorite things that I've been noticing recently. Like obviously it's not easy creating your own story and competing with like big name stuff, but the fact that y'all have your own community and y'all are succeeding is really cool to see, and I think it's inspiring a lot more people who have these stories that they want to tell to take that leap of faith and like try, like you said, and let go of that fear of like, maybe I won't be successful, maybe nobody will like see it, but at least they get to try, and you never know. I think that's awesome.
I have a quick question, because like that kind of reminded me of something. Are the fights on TikTok real, or is that like a way for you and like your mutuals to like promote each other's mangas? Because I'm not gonna lie, man, there was one time I think somebody was making fun of you for like how old you are or something like that, and I was so ready to light somebody up. I had no idea who they were, but they were talking shit about you, and I was just like, somebody's gonna get the smoke for no damn reason. But now that like I think about it, I'm like, that would be a really good way for like a community to like help each other grow. Just start fake beef.
That's kind of smart.
Like a lot of people on like anime TikTok are really just like immature, childish. So like So I don't even like look at my like stitches or mentions or like duets unless
Good call.
like me and my mutuals do like fake beef sometimes. Like yeah, that's the do. But there are like a lot of people who just like take shit too far for no reason and just like get weirdly personal about it. So I don't even look at my like mentions. So like I'm sure there are a lot of people talking shit about me and talking shit about other content creators, but I don't even look at it, so I wouldn't even know.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and like we've been in the same boat too. Like early on, whenever we were first getting traction, I would like look at it, and at least I personally struggled with that because it's hard just seeing a bunch of criticism right away. But I learned just to kind of ignore it. Really, like it's gonna be there no matter what, no matter how successful you are or how small you are, you'll always have haters. But honestly,
If anything, like something I think anybody like in the field, like if you're getting haters, that means you're doing it right.
yeah.
Like if everybody agrees with you 100% of the time, no, man. Like nobody wants a sheep like cult following.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we like the outliers, the out of the box thinkers, the Kiratoriyamas.
The Akira Toriyamas.
Believer in like
No, go
yeah, I
ahead,
was just gonna say, going off of like what you were saying, I'm a big believer. Like if people aren't hating, it's because nobody knows who you are, right? So like, so yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
No, if you got haters, that means you're out there and you're being seen. So
Yeah.
it's a good sign, you know. And at the end of the day, who cares? They're entitled to their opinion, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna keep doing me.
I laugh at those comments because it's like you're not making any content and you're commenting. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's kind of funny.
It's funny. Yeah, it is funny. It's like, dude, really?
It's like okay.
I love when people have like they'll comment something and it has nothing to do with what our video is.
Right.
Like they're just like, you know, you guys like audio is really terrible. It's like, oh, okay. What does that have to do with the video though? Like,
I can hear it. It's there, you know. They'll nitpick at like the very, very small things, and I'm like, okay,
cool.
Yeah, like appreciate it, I guess.
Right.
Moving aside from that toxicity, now going off, I guess, from like the manga recommendations, you got any anime recommendations? We are always willing to listen to those.
Anime recommendations. Honestly, lately I've really just been trying to like focus on manga because like the more I read manga, like the more like I just like learn like how to incorporate it into my story. So whether it's like the writing or like the art or even like small things like things that people don't even notice, like facial expressions. Like how do you come up with interesting facial expressions, right? Like looking at manga like panels is like helps me with that. So I haven't really been watching a lot of anime lately, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just mainly just been like reading manga, looking at manga, and just trying to like enjoy it while also learning at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like that though. That's different. We haven't had somebody like that on the podcast in a while.
Yeah, I like what you were mentioning about like looking at the different facial expressions because that's something that I was actually talking to my friend Michael about it yesterday. We were watching Avatar. We were just like hanging out and we put on like the original like Avatar, not the live action. I'm still working.
Blue people or
The Last Airbender.
oh, okay.
And we were talking about like how it's so much easier to show expressions in that animated format because those expressions are hard to pull off in real life, but they represent how you like feel in certain situations and you can relate to it a little bit better. And I see that in anime and manga, and I think that's really cool that you pay attention to that kind of thing because nailing certain expressions can create a very specific emotion out of your audience, like your reader or viewer. And if you can nail those very consistently, I think that you have very good like storytelling capabilities too, because you know what emotion is called on for a certain situation.
I completely agree.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite genre? Like if you had to kind of like pick out of like fantasy, isekai, all that stuff?
I would say like obviously like for me personally, because my story is a battle shonen type story, like I would say battle shonen anime. I'd say like yeah, battle shonen anime and like fantasy. But then also like I don't know what the genre is called, but the genre that's like Death Note and Monster and like I guess like psychological,
like the psychological thriller type stuff,
yeah.
maybe. Well, is that what you were?
I was gonna say.
Yeah, that's
If
how I
anybody,
would
I'm sorry, we both looked at you like if anybody didn't know the proper name category for this, it's him.
yeah, so I think.
Okay. No. Okay. So like we talked about this a little bit, and the three of us have like become kind of low key super fans. I asked you if you had seen Freerun Beyond Journey's End.
Honestly, I have not. I've heard a lot of people talking about it. The general like idea of it that I've heard of was that like it's one of those series where it's like most series follow the journey, and then when the journey ends, the series ends, but the series starts when the journey ends.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting concept that I've never seen before. So like, I would actually like to hear more about it because like I've considered like checking out the manga, but I guess I just like really like got into it. But it's definitely like something that like seems like I should check it out.
So, like the best way to like, I think the best way they did this was, yes, it is like after, you know, it's after the story of killing the Demon King, but instead of like a character that's gonna be around for, you know, another like 50, 60 years, no, they give us an elf where time passes so goddamn slow for her. So like after the journey, she's like, okay, that was fun, guys, I'll see you later. And she just kind of like, essentially, she just like goes on like a vacation for her. She just, you know, she went out, she looked for some spells, and then like she wanted to come back because there was like a festival coming, like a festival to like celebrate the passing of time that the Demon King has been slain, and like the meteor showers. And when she goes back, she comes to find out that like 80 years has passed, and the hero, he's like incredibly old, and a majority of the people in her party are old, and she
Is the same.
yeah, she's the same. It's like she hasn't aged a day.
Yeah. Like in the story, elves live so much longer. Their lifespan is like 10 times that of a regular human, basically. And it's like seeing the perspective of this elf kind of journeying through the land after defeating the big bad, basically, and coming to like have this appreciation for the people that she's met and kind of getting to know them more, because she's realizing that like just because her time on this planet is going to be way longer, the people that she meets could be really important, and she should try and take the time to like get to know them. So it's like her kind of coming to grips with that, and it is essentially an adventure, but it's very refreshing. Like I've never seen a story quite like this, I guess, and it took me maybe 10 episodes to figure out why I liked it. I liked it kind of from the beginning, but I couldn't describe why, and I thought that was really perplexing. I thought that was cool that a show could kind of just keep me wanting to watch, but I couldn't place why I liked it, you know?
It feels really personal.
Yes.
You know, it's like you slowly learn about our main character, Furin, right? And you get drip fed information about her history, because her history is way longer than some of humans' history, right? And then like later on, like he said, she starts to realize like, man, maybe I should have appreciated the journey I had with everybody I was with in the past, right? And you see her start to like reflect on maybe some regrets, right? Try to solve some things, and then like change going forward, like really bonding with the people around her, because she understands like, okay, well, you know, like he said, they're not going to be around for long. I'm going to be here for forever, basically, right? They're like, oh, you know, elves live for an eternity.
Yeah. Not be so like disconnected from it, basically.
So the whole idea is like she'll be able to carry their memory into the future. And I don't know. There's something beautiful about it. The way they write it, it's just so personal.
Yeah.
That sounds really interesting. Yeah, I definitely have to check that out, because I've been like meaning to check it out, and I've seen a lot of people talking about it. So I've been like, I want to watch it just so I don't feel left out.
Right.
Like now that like I kind of got. No, yeah, I definitely got to watch that or read it.
Yeah. No, I mean, the three of us, it just took till now for us to kind of start watching it. We dropped the ball on it too, because it's been coming out since last year, and I have heard personally like it got nominated for so many things. Everyone was talking about it, and I'm like, wow, this is probably a really good show. Anyways, I'm not gonna watch it. I'm gonna go do something else. I'm very stubborn with anime.
Something I did learn, and like for like some of our longtime listeners, they'll probably know this. I heard that our friend Sammy Boy, and I know you're listening, buddy, and I heard he listens to my messages to him, so I like giving them out to him every once in a while. Yeah. He actually picked up the manga, and if he picked up the manga, yeah, that's saying some shit.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
I'm okay. Damn. Fuck.
So if you want to pick up the manga, I'm gonna just go out on a limb and say it's probably solid, because that man doesn't pick up a lot of things, but when he does, it's usually some really fire shit.
He did that he read the light novel for 86 too.
See, the man's got exquisite taste.
He does, yeah. When he finds a good, it's a mutual friend of ours. He's been on the podcast in the past. For context, he is the kind of person that when he finds something like special and that he really gravitates towards, he goes all in. He watches it and then picks up the manga. And if there's a light novel, you best believe he's reading that light novel. So he knows like the truest source material. And then like
Right.
he tries to like enhance that appreciation. And I think that's like really, really cool because his like top 5, for example, the shows that he really likes, he has such a good reason behind why all of those shows are in his top 5. And it's because of that storytelling. It's because of like the effort that was put into it, the characters, how they change. Like he's that kind of guy. I think y'all would kind of get along in terms of like
Oh yeah.
taste in stories.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now that-
So yeah, I mean, and he recommends Free Run, and he definitely recommends that other show, 86, if you've heard of it.
Okay, yeah. So I'll definitely check it out then.
Yeah. Do you have any other questions about it?
Well, I feel like you guys talked about like a lot of like the themes and ideals behind the series, but like what like I guess like I feel like you guys didn't really touch on like the plot, like what exactly is the plot, or is there not really like much of a plot?
It's
just more of a-
loose. It is a
very
loose
loose.
plot. It's like Frieren goes and does a thing, and that's what's interesting is seeing like all this knowledge, all this power and wisdom be applied to whatever situation they're in. It's heavily magic based, right? So it's fun to see her like encounter a situation and be like, I don't like the rules, so I'm just gonna break everything. You know what I mean? She just does what she wants. It's like a OP character that's written really well without being too flashy about being OP. It's like she feels OP because of her brain, but really she's
She's just
super
OP
powerful.
because she's
very wise. Yeah, she's OP because of her wisdom in terms of like everything she's experienced.
so
Okay.
it's just fun seeing the effects she has and the people she draws in while she's journeying.
Yeah, it's you get attached to the characters. It kind of has. I was kind of comparing it to like when she forms her own new party after like the old one kind of like gets old and everything, and you start getting attached to these individual characters. I almost started getting attached to them the same way I would the Straw Hats when like new people would kind of start showing up. I'd be like, oh cool, and each character has their own like background, their stories on why they're the way they are, and you see them grow because time passes in this show.
Oh yeah.
An episode can cover like 3 or 4 months sometimes. So
Wow.
like it really goes, and you feel the passage of time. But that's kind of a theme for that show because Frieren does not experience time the same way. There's some random episodes where they'll get to like this little town because she wanted to meet an old friend or something, and she'll be like, oh, like let's stay here for a little bit, you know, like
5
we'll-
or
we'll only
6,
stay
10
here for
years.
like a decade or so, because to her a decade could be like a couple weeks, and then her party's like, yeah, we're staying for 2 weeks max.
I'll be in my 30s by the time we leave. No.
Yeah, and there is a plot per se where like they are trying to get to a destination
Yeah.
to do something. That is kind of the underlying plot, but
Right.
the point of it is also just like where they go before they get there, because it's a long journey. It's a humongous world. Like it's,
Yeah. Yeah.
massive.
I feel
So
like it's very much a journey of self-discovery.
yes.
for her.
Yes. I think amongst more of them, because think about it, like Stark, he kind of has his own like self-discovery moment.
Mhm.
Fern.
Figuring out like why she likes magic. Yeah, the series has some really good characters. Like if you're looking for character-driven writing,
Oh, this will
That-
do it.
this is-
Every
this is the
single
series
episode,
for
like
that.
almost every character, you learn them, you learn them, or you meet them, you learn a little bit about them, and by the end, you're just like, God, you are a very well written out character for somebody I only got 3-4 episodes out of.
Mhm.
like damn, I like you. God damn it.
Yeah.
God, it's a completely understandable why I got nominated for so many different awards across different anime award shows. Highly slept on by us.
By us, yeah, we dropped the ball big time.
Shout out to the
Okay.
buffest anime nerd. We fucked up. My bad.
Yeah, he recommended it, and I was like, all right, I guess I'll finally commit to it.
Yeah, and we didn't even touch on like the action.
Solid.
I'm not even watching it for action.
Yeah, this isn't one of those shows that you watch for the action, but it's more of just like a treat. Like after a few episodes, like you'll watch 3 or 4, you'll get this really beautiful action sequence. You're like, where did this come from? Y'all could do shit like this? And it's just like, okay. And then it goes on like another few episodes, stories. They get to this new area. They meet more people. You get to know more of the characters, and then another just random action sequence, another fight, and you're like, these are so good. Like, it's that well written, and it can produce some very well choreographed and very high quality action at the same time.
With stakes.
With
Which
stakes.
is like they don't pull it out their ass. Like they lay the foundation for everything. It's a slow burn. That's one of the best parts. It's not rushing through the story. We're not rushing to get to where we need to be. It's a slow burn. Like if you've ever read like Made in Abyss, Violet Evergarden, To Your Eternity, stuff like that, it's a slow burn. Those are very similar series to it, and I don't know, that's why it feels so different, so captivating.
Yeah.
Wow. You guys really know how to sell a story.
Hey, you know, man, after 122 episodes, we've been trying to like pitch him stuff for about more than half of those episodes, so we've gotten pretty decent at it.
Hey bro, just let me get a copy. We'll pitch it.
Oh, trust me, I've already found it on Amazon. I'm gonna, like, the moment we're done recording here, I'm gonna have us order it. I'm not gonna lie.
I bet.
Yeah.
Got you, bro. Got you.
We appreciate that. So like I just said, you guys can buy the first volume of the manga on Amazon. You can check out the other volumes over on Crunchyroll, and then what was the other website?
Manga Plus Creator and Global Comics.
There we go.
Perfect.
Global Comics.
Make sure you guys check them on TikTok, YouTube. Any other handles you like us to follow you on?
Sorry. Oh yeah. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube.
Okay, cool. And we'll have all of those linked in the bottom. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you for coming on, man. Shit, man. I'm not gonna lie. When we catch up on your story, we're probably gonna have you back on.
Yeah. That way we can talk like details.
Yeah. All the links are in my bio. Yeah, you can. I recommend Global Comics. I really like the interface they have there. So if you read it there, everything is completely for free. So I hope you guys enjoy it.
No, absolutely, man.
I appreciate it, bro.
Yeah.
Once we get through it, read it. Yeah, you're gonna come back on here. We're gonna talk about your series.
That's so much
man.
fun. Oh my god, that would be so much fun to have a series that we've all read and then get to talk to the creator about that series. Yeah, we're definitely doing that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Oh yeah, we're gonna geek out with you, man.
That it's been fun getting to know you and your preferences. So I don't know. I feel like it's cool. Like we get a little peek behind the curtain or like under the hood, right? Like we're gonna read it and be like, oh man, this makes sense. Like he likes that. That's why we're seeing this.
That makes so much sense. I'm so excited to read this now.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you for your time. Thanks for stopping by, man. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Appreciate you, man. I appreciate it all to everybody who's listening at home or watching on YouTube. Like always, make sure you guys like, subscribe. And Alchemist out.
Alchemist out.
Alchemist out. Wait. Go read Rune Symbol.
Yes, go read Rune Symbol. Links are in the bio. Alchemist out.
Alchemist out.